Welcome, everybody, to our December 12th special meeting. I'd like to call this special meeting to order. We'll go right on to new business, and it is the award of bid for the Dunedin Golf Club restoration. Jennifer, did you have an opening?
I do, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay.
And good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. First of all, I want to thank you very much for making yourselves available for this special meeting. These items were originally scheduled on December 5th, but we needed just a little bit more time in order to prepare the documents for you this morning. So I'm very grateful that you moved aside just about everything on your schedules to be here this morning. Thank you. So I'm going to give you a brief overview as to how we got here this morning. We have arranged a staff presentation. Vince is going to introduce everybody who's on Zoom and here this morning. And then Blair's going to go over some of the highlights of the contract before you and the change order as well. And then we'll open it up for questions, if that's all right, Mayor? Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. So the club history, just to go back to the beginning, understanding that a lot of those folks who are watching this morning don't understand the history of this club and the deep and long history of this amazing golf course and golf club. It was designed by world-renowned golf architect Donald Ross. It was built in 1926, and so we're approaching our 100th year. It opened on January 1st of 1927. The course was deeded to the city of Dunedin in 1938. It was the home of the PGA of America from 1945 until 1962, which is quite amazing. The club was conveyed, the club conveyed the remaining clubhouse property to the city in 2017, so just recently, as part of the new license agreement. So the clubhouse and the course itself are the property of the residents and the taxpayers of the city of Dunedin. So it's been acknowledged for a very long time that the course itself is in need of renovations, specifically the irrigation. And to that point, we really don't have a choice than to renovate the irrigation. It is, Vince and Blair, 30 years old, the irrigation system?
Yes, it's over 30 years old.
It's over 30 years old. So in keeping with the city process as far as renovations of a capital project, we put a RFP out for architectural services, and that was awarded to Stantec on the December 13th of 2022. And I know that Vince will introduce, but Stantec and Chris Spence, the course architect, are on the Zoom call with us this morning. Again, he'll introduce everybody. We had a community meeting regarding the golf course at the Health Center on February 21st of 2023. I think most of you were there, and we got a lot of really good input in regards to the renovation of the course itself. The master plan then was drafted and before the City Commission on the March 21st of 2023. And that was really the go, no-go on the Spirit of Donald Ross design of the course. We drafted construction documents, and that development was April through August of 2023. We did a pre-qualification of 3 contractors, and that was July 25th of 2023. Much the same as the manner in which we constructed this building. We pre-qualified the contractors. We want to make sure that they were, first and foremost, golf course contractors, and they had experience in renovations, as well as we wanted to make sure that they understood the project itself and the importance of the project, of this project, to the city of Dunedin. We published the bid on September 29th of 2023, and that bid was out until November 6th. We received one bid, and that one bid was from TDI in the amount of $7,095,423.18. So given that we received one bid, we reached out to our city attorney to discuss, given that the project was over budget, it wasn't a bid that I felt that staff could necessarily accept or the City Commission would accept. How were we able to address that overage in our budget? And the city attorney was very specific that we could value engineer or we could discuss quantities, but we could not negotiate unit pricing on that bid with TDI. We reached out to TDI and asked them to attend a Zoom conference call with ourselves and with our contractor, with Stantec. We found TDI to be very receptive. We found them to be good to work with in terms of looking at the various tasks that were associated with the bid, and we were able to value engineer the bid down to $5.8 million. What's before the City Commission this morning, then, is really two things in regards to the renovation itself. First of all, we're asking the City Commission to accept the original bid of the amount of just under $7.1 million, and then immediately thereafter for someone to make a motion and second and discuss and approve a change order to that original bid to bring the cost of the renovation down to $5.8 million. And so that brings us up to date to exactly where we are at this moment. We also have a third item on the agenda, which was on the 5th, and you continued it from the 5th, and that's the golf carts, the club cars. And so we'll address that a little bit later, Mayor. But with that, I'll hand it over to Vince, if that's
Okay.
all right. Very good. Thank you, Mayor.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commissioners. Vince Gizzi, Parks and Recreation Director. As Jennifer said, I'm going to go ahead and introduce everyone that's here this morning and that's been part of this process. So with me is Blair Klein, our General Manager of Golf Operations, and he's also the city's project manager for this restoration. Les Tyler is also part of the presentation this morning, Finance Director. He'll be talking about the financial plan after we get through talking about the original bid and the change order. Craig Wilson is with us, our city arborist. A lot of trees on the golf course. Chuck Ackney, I don't see him in the audience, but I know he's listening upstairs. He's been very active, our purchasing manager, in this process as well. Bruce Worth is with us, one of our former city engineer and now consultant for us. He was also very instrumental in the design of the golf course as well as the drainage. Lori Viola, I see now, is on Zoom. I know she's feeling a little under the weather today, but welcome, Lori. And also Chris Spence is with us, our golf architect, is also on Zoom, and he's zooming in from North Carolina. We also have Michael Kelman with us this morning, the COO for TDI Golf, and also our project contractor, who, again, like Jennifer said, worked very closely with us to help us move this project along. So, Michael, if you could just identify yourself. I'd also like to introduce who's been a very big part of this, this process for several years now, working very, very closely with us, and we've used them for all their knowledge and history of the golf course is our board of directors. Gary Heffaker, the president of the board, was unable to make it. He did send his regrets, but 5 of our board members are here this morning. Steve Lather, Kevin Jenker, Tracy McMillan, Judy Nichols, and Jody Cannon are all with us this morning. And before I go any further, they did this fantastic children's program last night where the golf club gave away these beautiful gifts to our before and after school program children, and it was just wonderful tear-jerking last night. So thank you for that, and I didn't know Judy was such a great storyteller. We're going to have to use you for some of our programs, Judy. Thank you. So with that, just to repeat a little what Jennifer said, our presentation this morning will cover both agenda items at one time, and then you will need to vote separately on the original bid and then also on the change order. So now I'm going to turn it over to Blair to describe the process for the value engineering and how we came about with all the reductions. So with that.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Blair Klein, the General Manager of Golf Operations for the City of Dunedin. And much like Jennifer said, we sent out the request for qualifications. We sent out the bid package. We got a bid package in, and it was a little healthy. And so we set about trying to get it to what we felt would be a better number, a more palatable number, but also the main point was to keep all of the Donald Ross characteristics, to do all the things the golf course truly needed. And we were able to do that. We worked along with Chris and Lori, who spent a lot of time on the project. We worked very hard with Mike seated back here of TDI because they're the actual builders, and they know what they've done on other projects to be effective using money. And they had a lot of really good ideas. And we were able to incorporate all those. And we were able to reach our goal of putting out a project that is totally consistent with restoring a Donald Ross golf course, and at the same time keep an eye toward the money end. And so the savings areas, we had savings in irrigation, and that was mainly realized by TDI finding a new irrigation subcontractor. So we were able to save some money with the new subcontractor, and they suggested some additional savings in putting out the same system, same number of heads, same length of piping, everything, but using different manufacturers for those specs. And it's actually manufacturers that we're extremely happy to have, and the system is one that our golf course superintendent is very happy with and should last us for many, many years. And that was about $500,000 worth of savings right there. Then we, with Chris Spence's recommendation of 50 acres of fairways, either partially sodded and mainly sprigged, we went to 35 acres of fairways, mainly sprigged, and that saved us another $350,000. Then we worked with Craig Wilson, seated right behind me here, and that was on all the tree planting and the tree protection material. We substituted a tree protection material, so it's still the same linear feet of tree protection. It's just using a different material, and that so we've got the protection still, but that was $150,000 worth of savings. Then we went to the cart paths, and since the electric cart wasn't even introduced when Donald Ross designed the golf course, I'm pretty sure we didn't have cart paths in there in the original design. And we will have some areas that we were tearing out and replacing. We're not replacing them right now. That could be a future project if desired, if proven necessary. And that was just under $130,000 worth of savings. And then Chris Spence and Mike worked up some of our trenching. As you know, we have a lot of trenching under hole 15 and hole 17 in order to remove water from those fairways, whether it's the overflow of Curlew Creek or whether it's rainfall. And there's a standard that TDI uses, which is relatively deep. And that's more time to produce the trench, more time to fill the trench, and more fill material. And any fill material you get is incredibly expensive nowadays just because of trucking. So Chris came up with a great idea that we may not want to go quite that deep on 15 because we may have a dolphin swimming up from underneath the fairway. So we're going to go a little more shallow. It'll still do the same job of draining. It still meets all the requirements and everything, and that saved us about $100,000. So all told, that was the $1.25 million savings that we realized to get it from 7.1 to 5.8. And we were very fortunate to have everybody pull together on this. And like I say, it was due to Chris and Lori and a lot of phone calls and a great effort from Mike and Jeff, the owner of TDI, and their people to be able to present this value-engineered alternate. And I think it'll result we still have the same greens, we still have the same tee boxes, we still have everything, the bunkering, everything on the original plan is there. It's just value engineered down to a better number, and one that I'm really happy with.
I was just going to say, real quick, congratulations. That's a big number.
Thank you.
To everybody involved, really, congratulations.
Mayor, before we go on to the financial plan that Les is going to present, did you want to ask questions of the golf?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, let's do that. Start with you, Vice Mayor. Any questions on this piece of it, not the financing part?
Yeah, let me differentiate here. So I guess my first question is for Stanek. How could we have been so off on our estimates? Because part of the original project the Stanek was doing was giving construction estimates. So I guess Lori, it's to you. How could we have been that off?
Sorry about that, trying to unmute my mic. I think I'm going to ask Chris to step in here for me on this one a little bit. Obviously, I'm pretty sick this morning with COVID. Chris, could you?
Okay, I'll be glad to explain a little bit. This project started out in a little bit different fashion than most. My initial estimates, where all of this started, began with estimates for the membership at the club as a design build opportunity. So we, which, is a single contractor design opportunity. So that's one aspect of it. Market conditions have fluctuated and increased just out of control since we started this process, and they continue to do so. And then you get into limited opportunities with available contractors and subcontractors and things like that. And we're seeing this across the country with a lot of projects of the time span from the initial estimate to the time when you put the shovel in the ground. We're experiencing quite a bit of increase, 25, 30, 40%. In a lot of items, some of our drainage materials have gone up 100 and 160%. Irrigation, 35%. That's a big number. So that's basically how it escalated.
Okay. I mean, it's, I'm just going to get this off my chest. It's very frustrating because, of course, we have 4 major projects that we're trying to fund, and we committed a certain amount of money to this project, which kind of usurped projects kind of out of its order, and so to basically say we're going to, give $4.5 million and the bid comes in at 7.2. I appreciate the work's been done with value engineering. It's still a big number, and it still encroaches on other demands that we have for the citizens. So I'm just going to get that frustration out on the table, and it's a huge difference between the estimate and what really happened. So, and I get how the industry is right now. All of our projects are coming in, but this was a big differentiation. Let's see. Should we have? I'm not sure who the best person to ask this is. I asked this to the city manager, but I want to ask it to the group here. Should we have pre-bid more companies? Was that part of the issue that maybe we would have done better if we'd pre-bid more than 3 companies?
We sent out a request for qualifications, and we got 3 responses. It wasn't us necessarily cutting off the number of companies or calling the companies. That's the only responses that we had. And what we're seeing in the golf market right now is unprecedented in my experience. Golf is relatively healthy again, and people that have delayed maintenance or delayed projects at their golf course are undertaking those projects. And there is so much construction going on that I was just speaking to Mike yesterday, and Mike, I'm going to paraphrase this. I think it's accurate. He's been in the golf construction for 14 years, and you said, I believe in the next 2 years, of 26 projects that are coming to bid in the next 2 years, and that is a number that's never been seen before in the recent past. So there's so much work out there, and contractors are being reserved with a deposit 2 years in advance now to make sure that they will be available to potentially even bid on the project. And so a lot of it, as Chris said, was market-driven. We had 3 responses. Of the 3 responses, we received 1 bid. So it was not us limiting it. We tried, we sent out, Chuck would be able maybe, I know you have a record, but wasn't it somewhere around maybe 30 firms that got the bid? Yes.
Okay.
I think it was upper 20, mid to upper 20s that received the
Original.
request. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we had 3 responses. Yes, so to answer your question, more would be better, but they
Yeah,
weren't available.
but we tried. We
Yes.
had a process.
Yes, ma'am.
where we- Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, I do, really, when I heard the number, 7.2, I thought, I think we all probably got off the floor. So the work you've done to value engineer down is great. So I definitely commend you on that. You answered this a little bit, and just not sure this is the best time, but some of the projects we're doing, like the cart pass, you said we can actually add those things later. Like everything we're doing, if we find out it's an issue later or we want to improve it more later, we can do that. Is there anything we're taking out that we really can't, do again or have another opportunity if we find out we've kind of missed the ball?
No. In
Okay.
fact, cart paths would be the one that we could do later. Our greens and tees, those, and the irrigation system are all being done right as they need to be done. It's not a partial job where we'll have to do more a year from now. It's 100%.
Okay. My last question for right now would be, I noticed in the bid documents that we're already off the timeline. That it looked like we were supposed to approve this to move forward or have a meeting to move forward in November, and we're in December. I mean, is this going to be able to be done on time in accordance with our original timeline, or is it going to delay things a little bit, or?
No, TDI is prepared to start March 1, which was our original timeline for construction, March 1. So they're
Okay,
prepared
so maybe
to
I'm
start.
misreading that.
And they have their subs lined up pending the outcome of today's meeting.
Okay,
We're
so,
prepared to
yeah.
go forward.
Gotcha.
If I may, Mayor, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted the special meeting today
Right.
as well, so they have the certainty.
Right, okay, got it. Okay, that's all I have for right now. Thank
Can
you.
I just jump onto your question? And we're still scheduled to complete November, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Tornga?
Thank you, Mayor. Some of my confirmations that I'd like to hear responses back from are based on what I think I already know the answers to, but I just want other people to hear it as well. Before we start off, I have been concerned about this upcoming year and the next year relating to certainly supply issues in contractors, and we realized when we only had the 3 starting off, there was some sort of an indication. Still very frustrating for us to see someone when we bring an organization like Stantec on with us, and this is not necessarily a comment against Stantec, but it is for us in the future to make sure that this kind of thing in our other projects, which is a big concern, as I mentioned before, on the attempted approval of the budgets, that we make sure that we understand that this can occur in other areas. As it relates to the golf course, I've had enough communication from folks that I have strong confidence in. I would like to hear from Chris about this, the change from Chris and others, and you specifically, about the 50,000 acres, changing down to the 35 acres. I'm sorry, 50 acres to the 35 acres. My communication has been, okay, that's going to work for us, but I'd like to just have you confirm that, if you would. just with a sentence or two, both Chris specifically and then yourself.
Chris, would you like to tackle it first and then me?
Sure. When the project started out, we estimated about 70 acres of area that would be tilled and changed over from the old grasses to new. And then as the tree impacts and things like that, we brought it down to 50. And then as we got into well, let me back up a little bit. So that narrows up what we can do and how far out and in between areas or between the golf holes we can actually regrass. So as we went through the process, we brought it down to 50. And then when we got into the value engineering aspect of it, and we're looking for ways to, do the critical part, which is our T-top immediate surround, our fairway immediate rough surround around the greens. So what we've taken out, that 15 acres represents the area just short of the fairway back to the teen areas. So as your value engineering, we felt like we'll get our premium areas upgraded, and we can always come back and spray out and regrass that intermediate area in between as a future project, during one of the summers if need be. So that's basically how we got from 50 to 35. The actual fairway cut is about 23 acres. So we're doing 23 to 25 acres plus an additional 10 acres. And that'll be sort of between the fairway and the cart path in most situations, and then around the greens where we'll be putting in the new Tip Tough Bermuda and the upgrade.
Thank you, Chris.
So my comment to add to that, Commissioner, would be, I think Chris is correct. In fact, if you're in certain areas of the country where our area recently, extreme water shortage, they take areas out of play. I'm talking like California and Arizona, places like that. And the area between the tee box and the start of the fairway is usually one of the ones taken out of play. It's not for a large expanse like 200 yards or something. People don't hit it 200 yards. But if you took 50 yards, let's say, of that would normally be grass, it'll still be grass on our golf course. It just won't be the new grass. We can go back and replace that at some time in the future if we want to, but it's not an area that people play out of frequently. So that's where some of the savings came from, if I answered your question.
No, thank you. I guess just to put it out front, I want to make sure that we have a solid Donald Ross restoration.
Yes, sir.
Course here. Out of respect of the people who have made commitments to this, that have been looking forward to this. We've been talking about this. And I guess so I'll leave it, I'll end that sentence. Then again, we have the issue of the re-engineering, or whatever way you want to put that terminology. And so someone might say, well, why didn't we do that in the beginning like that? And because there might have been additional savings in there. I'm not going to dwell much on that because the reality is, of course, we have the supply. It is a supply chain issue, and it's a people issue, and I understand that, and I've been concerned about that all along. As long as we have the concept of a Donald Ross course, and as long as we have enough folks that believe that we have that, and I believe that we still have that from everybody that I've asked. That was my support all along with this issue. The city has a requirement, of course, as we continue in the borrowing side of monies, regardless of what funds it comes from. It all collectively comes upon us to take a look at that. And so, in order to get to some of these things, we may have to make some changes, and that'll come at a later date. But for now, we found a way so far to not only do the value engineering, and I hope we don't continue to do the value engineering if we decide to go this way at this point in time, but that we may have to look at some of the projects that we're working on and that's not for this conversation here. So the I'll leave this in my question for all of us here and everyone that worked on this. So we got some engineers in here that have worked on this, et cetera, that we had better watch very carefully on the next projects that we're working on, that this doesn't happen on those projects. We've discussed this. We discussed it till we were almost, I'll use the expression, blue in the face, to make sure we had adequate numbers. We were assured we did, and then this happened. Good news is we figured out how to get through this for this project. I believe this course will be significant, and I'd like for you to respond to that now, because as we look at this, we look at forecasts. And will this club be able to support itself when we have some additional charges against this? And I believe that it will. We look at some of the rates that are being charged today. And so I really would like to ask that question for some of the folks that I represent that are concerned about that issue. Does this still remain self-sufficient? And if you'd respond to that, I'd appreciate it.
Commissioner, I'll get to that in just a second. I believe you want to know about the Donald Ross. I'm confident, and Chris is the expert on this, but I'm confident we will have a Donald Ross, a golf course truly in the spirit of Donald Ross. I am 100% confident in that. And that, along with the historic Donald Ross and the home of the PGA and the wonderful city of Dunedin, I am also confident that this golf course can support itself going forward. I've got quite a few projections. We've spent hours upon hours upon hours with it, with the club accountant going over different scenarios, and I am 100% confident. I do not know what the economy is going to do 8 years from now. Obviously, we're weather dependent also as an outside sporting game, but I'm confident the club can support itself, very much so.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gao, questions?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor. Blair, we talked a lot about, through this whole process, we've talked about the spirit of Donald Ross course. And with this value engineering, has that spirit diminished? Because spirit is a spectrum. Yeah, it's like, it's kind of, sort of, has that been negatively impacted by any of the value engineering?
If you'd allow me, I'd like Chris to answer that because he's the Donald Ross expert.
The key things to Donald Ross are the green complexes and the bunkers. He laid the golf course on the natural lay of the land for the most part. So he interrupts that with the bunkers and the landforms. So all of those key elements that make it a distinct Donald Ross golf course remain intact. The greens drawings that we have, and of course we have the actual original greens still in existence on the golf course. They've just been added to. So we've got to clean them off and basically expose them. So that process stayed intact. We're still doing the number of bunkers and the scale of the bunkers. One of the things that we did that came out through some of the geotech is the ability to drain the bunkers within the bunkers. So we were able to eliminate some of the subsurface drainage and the discharge drainage, which was quite a large amount of money. But the bunkers themselves all stayed intact, and that's the key to creating. The term spirit is used a lot in the industry. This golf course is going to be very, very authentic, Donald Ross. We are actually uncovering his original work, so that's I'm very, very confident and comfortable in that what the end product is going to be. It's going to be his original work exposed.
Okay. Thank you. Continuing the theme with the value engineering, what is the impact of that to the play of the game and to the optic of the people who play it? Will they notice the value engineering, either in their play or just by the optic of walking the course?
No, sir. The irrigation system's underground, and the heads still supply water in the places that they're supposed to. The only thing that the people that play may notice that take golf carts is the small amount of area that will not have cart paths. That would be the only thing. The drainage is a positive for them. But as far as them going, ooh, why didn't they do that, or something along those lines, not at all, sir. Not at all. Everything I would think, the conditions will still be very good, and I think if anything, like I say, the drainage is a positive for them.
And you have assured us, Blair, that the golf course is sustainable. With the increase in price and the value engineering, does it being sustainable also include the residents of Dunedin and their ability to play the course? Or at what point do we outprice the residents of Dunedin?
Our proposed fees are more than they are now, but they are in this market in the north end of Tampa, let's say, for a quality golf course. We will be a little more expensive than some and a lot less expensive than others. And the Sarasota, just on the 15th, is opening Bobby Jones Golf Course, which is their Donald Ross golf course that they have totally redone. And they announced their fee structure, and it's remarkably similar to ours. It might be just $5 less than ours for a peak fee. So we're spending a considerable amount of money on the golf course. You're correct, we can't outprice the golfers coming here, or we won't be sustainable. On the other hand, we need to have the money coming in to continue all the projects that we need to do at the golf course. I think we've hit a sweet spot on our fees. We've been in close contact with all the other clubs in the area. Obviously, John Falcone's been at Dunedin for 24 years, and before that he was at Cheval, and before that he was at the TPC. So he's got quite a lot of knowledge in this market, and he's been a wealth of knowledge for what fees are sustainable compared to the ones that are being charged right now across this area. And I'm very comfortable that we are in that sweet spot. We have not outpaced the ability because of what's out there, and I think people are going to beat down the door with the publicity on this golf course to play this golf course.
Mayor, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner, we did consider a resident discount as well as part of the fee structure.
We did have a
Yes.
resident discount, yes, absolutely. 25%.
Yes.
Because it can be sustainable if we want to make it an elite course, right? But that would not include the city residents, and there might be a little economic demographic difference between Sarasota and Dunedin, would be my concern. One of the things that we've looked at through this process is the ability of the golf course being an enterprise fund and being the kind of to pay for itself, and any upcoming capital projects that we might want to incur, and how does that fit in to the fee structure, et cetera, et cetera. And this is a general question, not necessary to Blair, but whoever can respond to it. As we value engineer and we push back cart paths, and maybe that can be a future capital project. If we cut back on the grass acreage yardage, and maybe that can be a future capital project. All of a sudden, capital projects start to build up. And does our model for an enterprise fund still exist? Or are we gonna, in a shorter period of time than I think that we're all anticipating, are we gonna need to have another infusion of cash into the golf course?
I think that's a Les.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, Les.
I'm looking at Les.
Yeah, our current long-range plan that we have in our '24 budget goes out to '29, with projections that I worked with Blair and Laney in the Parks and Rec Department. So right now, with what we see, we believe it is sustainable. We're still working on that long-term capital plan that you're talking about, but we do feel that with the fee estimates and future capital needs, that it will be sustainable.
All right. And now on to construction. Do you happen to know how many courses in Florida or in this region that are either currently under construction or construction is anticipated, and by construction, renovation, in 2024, calendar year 2024?
Thanks. I don't know exactly, no. There's things announced. There's a huge new development south of Bradenton. There's rumors of some of the local courses, such as Fox Hollow, doing some improvements, and potentially West Chase, but nothing hard yet. Cabot Farms up just north of us is pushed back their reopening till, I believe, January or February. Stream Song over by Orlando is having a new course built by Crenshaw and Core. So there are courses in this general area, but how many of them, I really can't tell you. I don't know.
Okay, and thank you. And the reason I ask that is we have a very small unemployment rate right now. And I'm just concerned about the lack of labor and November, and if we start in February or March, will we really be done in November, as we start our tourist season? And is that taken into consideration in anybody's project planning timeline on what does that labor market look like? And will we start to get behind because we just have labor shortages?
I believe that I believe in the early discussions with Chris, we might have had a few days in there, Chris, in our timeline, just in case we got a storm through here or something. There wasn't a lot of fluff in the timeline at all. It's a fairly tight timeline, but Mike's looking at the ground now, but his crew, they have a crew that will come on site that will actually relocate here for this project. They're not having to hire too many people, and the main sub is the irrigation sub, and he'll bring his crew with him also. So there won't be a lot of extra hires that you're looking to pick up from a labor pool. They'll have their crews with them. There may be 2 or 3 or 4, but they won't be looking to hire 30 or 40 people on this. Okay. It'd be very few additional hires.
Okay. Thank you, Blair.
And also, Commissioner, it's also one reason that we did the pre-qualifications to make sure that there was going to be enough labor to make this project complete.
And I understand that, but I'm looking at wages, and will employees start to job hop looking for the bigger dollar? And if we're not aggressive in that area, and if we're locked into a bid, what's the impact of that with our timeline is my thought. Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Walker?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few questions here. So first question is to address the concern between the bid and between what the cost estimate was. And I accept the explanation that this is a very volatile market, and this is the risk associated with taking on a project of this magnitude at this particular time is elevated a little bit. So I guess I can understand that. The question I have is we are beginning to, or soon will be kicking this off. Have we done a thorough analysis of what we anticipate to be the risk items to be critical path? You mentioned that you are confident with schedule, but I'd be interested to hear kind of what the other risks you associate with the term of this project, and also the critical path items that may impact schedule and cost downstream.
I think some of the risks, one of the risks that we can't control certainly is weather. Upon assurance that we're going to do this, to do this restoration, Mike's firm would then contact all of their suppliers and lock in the supplies for irrigation, grass, things like that. They would lock in the supplies. And they, especially a grass farm, would be subject to the same weather. We might have a storm go through and they may not be able to cut for a week because it's too soft or something. But they'll lock in the supplies there. They have their own crews to do 98%, 99% of the work. So we are we're bound by weather. A big issue, honestly, for growing is water. This year we just went through would have been extremely difficult to grow in a golf course. Just from a water standpoint, that growing in all that turf, you get an exemption to do that, but if there's just limited water available, it's very difficult. And this was in a historic, I believe Nan Bennett uses historic every time I talk with her. That comes up. This is a historic happenstance this year, and that is one reason we do have the potable hookup at the course now. It's not an on-off switch, but it takes 45 minutes or so to switch over, and they don't want to do it every day. But we have access now to have grow-in water. So water and weather are really the huge issues for us since we do it outside. So given normal weather, just normal weather, we know we're going to have some storms and everything. Given normal weather, we should be fine. Given normal weather, we should have water and not have to use that potable too much and overuse water. Where the golf courses are very good stewards of water because we try and keep it right on the edge. So we're not the wasters of water that many times we're portrayed as. But critical, the weather and the water.
Yeah, and thanks for that. You've identified a contingency for the water, which is good. Regarding the weather and potential supply chain challenges, have you incorporated into your schedule contingencies for those elements?
We do have, like I said, there's maybe a week in our time schedule, maybe 10 days that we felt that we were good, plus the construction. They know everything's not going to be perfect every single day, the whole day through. They build a little bit in too. So, for example, if the grass farm had a hurricane go over it for some reason, and they weren't able to cut for 4 or 5 days, and then were able to cut the grass to get it to us, or they were pushed behind, so because of one, so that they had to wait 4 or 5 days to cut for 3 other jobs, and then got to us, and it pushed us back. I'm confident that that may wind up pushing us back a day or two, but not 7 or 8 days. So we do have that little fluff in there. And also the construction crews normally work Saturdays, and if they get behind, they'll go to Sundays even, working as the city allows. They will go to Sundays too, to try and get the project done, because time is money for them also. And they want to get done and present a good outcome and get on to their next job.
Okay, thank you for that. This may be for Les. Just the difference between the budget memos that we received from last week to this meeting is, you know, it's about $100,000. Was it? I mean,
It decreased.
it decreased, right? But we're comfortable with the cost associated that we've identified at this point, right?
Yeah, we are. We're comfortable with the cost and also the funding sources that we'll go over in a little bit here, yeah.
Okay, great. One thing I want to say about the value engineering part of this, and this actually, and this is just for the benefit, I do want to confirm that basically we identified approximately $500,000, $600,000 savings on the irrigation piece of this. That looks to be the biggest ticket item. And what that does is that represents about a 37% decrease in what the bid was and what the current value engineering estimate is. And that's fantastic. And I know the reasons why. You've identified a new subcontractor and being able to get comparable hardware and a system that we're comfortable with. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Great. But I do want to point that out. I applaud that, the fact that you were able to identify that savings, because that was significant. And last question in terms of the club being self-sustaining and operating as an enterprise, have we developed a pro forma yet to essentially detail this out for, let's say, the next 3 to 5 years in terms of where we think the club will be self-sustaining? Because I'm going to assume that basically, you know, we're going to be a year, 2 years before we hit a break-even point. And hopefully it's more to the left than it is to the right, but how do we feel about that?
Yeah, we have a 5-year projection that we put down, that we've done estimates of revenue and estimates of expenditures, taking into account, escalation in cost and things like that. And that's in our long-range plan in our 24 budget. And also, we also have that in our packet today, that long-range plan. But yeah, that's factored in for 6 years. And right now, we're showing that, and you're right, 25 is sort of a tough year. 25 is the year that we reopen. And if you look at the cash flow on that, you can see that that's kind of a year we'll have to watch closely. But then after that, we slowly start building up reserves out to 29.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I have other questions, but I think these are more finance related, so I'll defer. So thank you.
Okay. I think my colleagues have asked everything I wanted to know, so. Do you want to go on to the financial part? Okay.
Sure. Les Tyler,
And then-
Finance
Sorry,
Director.
and then Les, when you're done, I'll open it up to the public for anybody to speak.
Okay, great. Within your packet, there's a finance plan. I think it's Exhibit A in the staffing. I'd like to briefly walk through that this morning. The total cost of the project with the construction value engineered amounts we just discussed is $6.246 million, and that includes $406,000 of design costs, and the construction costs are $5,839,000. And I'd like to walk through the funding sources. In the finance memo, we've got the funding sources towards the bottom of the page. The first funding source is we're putting ARPA funding on this project, ARPA federal funding, in the amount of $2.571 million. We also have a $500,000 Florida State Historic Preservation Grant that the golf course received that's been transferred over to the city for this project. And then we have $2.5 million in the Golf Operations Fund. And then we have $267,673 of committed tree bank funds. They're a committed set aside in the general fund for tree work, and we're going to apply $267 to the project. And the changes in those funding sources since our 24 budget was adopted in September were we've increased the $500,000 for the grant. We knew about the grant during the budget process, but we did not include it as revenue in our budget because we were still waiting to get it fine-tuned and making sure that it was officially transferred to the city, and that's happened. So we're recognizing that in our funding plan now. We've also added, I mentioned, the committed tree bank funds. That's a new funding source of $267,000. And then we've increased the ARPA federal funding for the project as well. We're increasing the ARPA funding by $978,000. And of that amount, we're recommending that to fund this, recommending we move ARPA funds from the Highlander Aquatic Complex project in the amount of $575,247. In addition, also moving ARPA funds from the broadband internet fiber cabling project in the amount of $402,678. So the total of those two equal $977,925. I want to mention one of the reasons that we're wanting to transfer these ARPA funds are, as you know, the ARPA funds have deadlines for encumbering the cost. The dollars need to be encumbered by December 31st, 2024. This project is closer to construction, so we do think it's good to get the dollars on this project and get them encumbered and spent. And I want to point out that the transfer from the Highlander Aquatic Complex that I just mentioned in the amount of $575,247, that will be replenished in 2025, in the 2025 budget, in the penny fund by doing a transfer from the Midtown Parking Garage Facility Project to the Highlander Aquatic Complex. That will fully fund the aquatic complex project. And in addition, the CRA fund will have an increase in cost of $575,247 in the fiscal year 25 budget to fully fund the Midtown Parking Garage project. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that we were doing that transfer in 25 to fully fund the aquatic center. And that concludes my high-level comments. I want to also mention that we are, as part of this project and also in our 24 budget, we plan on doing debt financing for this project. We plan on issuing a financing of $2.5 million, and that number's not changed. Our budget plan was we do a loan of $2.5 million, so there's no change in that at all compared to our adopted budget. And the estimated financing schedule would be, we would plan to issue an RFP sometime in January 2024 with a projected closing date in March of 2024. And the annual estimated debt service payments are approximately $307,000 per year. And we're assuming a 10-year financing right now, where that'd be $307,000 per year for 10 years. And those are the key terms of the financing. And that's my general comments, and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, I'm going to start at this end. I'll look at you, Rob.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, to confirm, the $500,000 grant, Florida State Historic Preservation Grant, and the tree bank committed funds, that was not a part of the original finance plan, right?
That's right. In the long-range plan, we noted the state grant in the long-range plan, but we did not actually put it in as revenue towards a project in the adopted budget.
Okay. Also to confirm that $575,000 that ARPA that you're pulling from the Highlander Park, essentially that's going to be made up by Penny in 2025. And the reason I'm just confirming is that we won't be under any contract for the Highlander Park until 2024. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. Construction would not begin on that anytime before 2025, correct.
Okay. And with regards to the transfer of ARPA from the fiber cable install, the 402? 402. What's the impact on that?
Yeah, we currently, we have about 2.5 million on that project right now, and taking this 400 off would leave 2.1 million. The project is in the process of going to design right now to design the 3 different phases of the project, and we're estimating that to be around 400,000, no more than 400,000. So basically, we would, with the 2.1 million remaining on the project, we'd have about roughly 1.7 million for those 3 phases, and we prioritize those phases with the commission, of course, but we'd still have about 1.7 left for construction.
Great. And then just to kind of sum that up, okay, so my calculation with regards to the delta between the original estimate and where we're currently at, basically the contributing factors are ARPA, the 500K grant, and the tree fund. Those are the 3.
That's
right?
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
And I also will say that what makes me happy on this latest iteration is that we're not talking about financing an amount different than what we did in the original bid.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
If I may add, and that was extremely important to making sure that the fund is sufficient in the future, so it doesn't go in the red.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And just my final question on the financing for the tree fund, that is a general fund. Do we have any concerns about using that and the impact on general fund reserve going forward?
No, I would say no, because we track our available general funds, through our budget process, and these are restricted, so they're not available. They're restricted for a certain purpose. So we've got $700,000 in that tree bank committed reserve right now. So even after this 267, we still have quite a bit of money left, restricted.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Gao.
Thank you, Mayor. And Commissioner Walker did ask a lot of my questions, so I'll kind of stick mine to the tree fund. Can you talk a little bit less about what is that fund for? How does the money come into that fund, and what's it used for?
Yeah, I'm going to turn that over to Craig to cover that, if he would, because he knows the details more than me on that.
He looked so anxious to come forward and talk about it.
Welcome, Craig.
Absolutely. So the funds come in for multiple different ways. It could be fines for improper pruning, illegal tree removal, new construction projects that remove trees that were of good condition that require mitigation, and maybe they did do some replants, but they couldn't quite do enough, so there's a deficit, so they would pay into the tree bank for that. Sometimes there's donations into that account as well, but it's mostly driven by new construction or fines for illegal tree removal. So.
And then how do we use those funds?
We use them for funds typically to purchase trees for our annual tree giveaway. We use them in our street tree plantings. We would use them really just for tree purposes only. So they don't get, it's nothing else other than tree planting or the betterment of trees. We can stretch it sometimes and use them for, amending soils if we're planting trees so that the trees will have a better survivability. But it's more for the trees that we plant in our parks and our arboretum and our downtown core and our right-of-ways.
Okay, and just to circle back to the value engineering, I know that we value engineered some stuff involving trees and the protection of those trees. And you're okay with those changes, that you feel those trees are still protected on the golf course?
Yes, I am. For the most part, one substitution was equivalent in my eyes, And we have essentially 3 project managers on site. Blair would be there full-time, obviously. I would be out there a tremendous amount of time, and then we would have other inspectors on site. So we'll have pre-construction meetings, and the air will be cleared as far as where you don't go and what you do and what you don't do. So we'll have active eyes on there. We'll still have tree barricades up there. I'm comfortable with it. So.
Okay. And back to the use of those funds, we had the annual tree giveaway. Other than that, do we have a long-range plan? Do we know for the next 3 years how we're going to use some of those funds? Do we have projects budgeted out?
Yeah, there's some downtown projects where we'll be using some of those funds to plant trees. And we also have to replenish trees within some of our parks as well. So some of the funding, we'll be planting some palms out at the new pram shed area. But a lot of our park projects somehow or some way will involve trees. So we forecast for that, so.
Okay. And do you feel that with the movement of the 267 into this project, is that taking away from any other projects that you would like to have done using those funds?
No, I think we'll be fine.
All right. Thank you, sir, very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Okay. First of all, just confirming, there's $200,000 extra per year because of going with the Donald Ross course in maintenance. That's all built into the budget?
Yeah, that's built into the budget, correct?
Okay.
Correct.
And we still feel good about being able to be sustainable with the extra maintenance costs, et cetera? Just confirming, okay. That was a yes, right? Yeah. Good. My other takeaway from the changes we've made is that the biggest hit goes to the CRA, because the CRA is the one that kind of puts money back to, giving money back to the pool, but then the CRA takes the hit. And do we think the CRA in the downtown can take the hit based on some of the maintenance things that we have ahead of us?
Yeah, I believe the CRA can absorb this transfer or this change. If you look at the 24 adopted budget in the CRA fund, it's, right after the budget was adopted, we were fortunate to receive a $1.3 million grant on the Skinner project. Thank you, Mayor. So the way I look at it is, we got $1.3 million. We really weren't expecting or planning on towards that, and then we are moving $575,000, but the net of that is still, to me, a positive impact to the CRA fund.
Okay, thank you. The 200 and on Appendix A, or Attachment A, the $250,000 for the clubhouse. So where's that money coming from? Is that factored into your calculations here that you do in the memo, or is that a separate pot of money from the general fund?
Yeah, that's just a budgeted expense in the golf course operations fund in 2025 as a placeholder to do improvements to the
So basically, that is built into the enterprise fund budget?
Yes, it is.
For them
Yes.
to do. Got it. I
Correct,
just wanted to
correct.
clarify that. And then I asked this question because I just want to put it on the table, because I asked it of the city manager. So obviously, we hope, without pricing our residents out at all, that we're going to do really well. This is going to be a great profit center. So I guess the question becomes, to what extent, if it becomes a huge profit center, like, can we bring some of that back, some of the ARPA money back for other funds that it kind of took away from? I mean, I know that's you've only built in for the loan right now, the $2.5 million loan, but if it just exceeds all expectations, can we claw back some of that money that we've given more than we thought we would have to for other projects?
Yeah, we could. I believe that if that were to happen, we could look at, for instance, we've got $300,000 budgeted in the penny fund for improvements to the clubhouse. you know, if 4 years or 5 years from now, if we had a lot of extra dollars there, we could do a capital contribution from the Gulf Operations Funds back to the penny fund to basically repay them for that.
Yeah, and I think it's important to put it on the table, because 5 years from now, somebody may say, hey, you're an enterprise fund, don't touch our money. Well, we got to remember how much we put in from the citizens' money in other ways. And we've obviously are sacrificing some other needs of citizens. And so I want everybody's memories to be long in that regard, that, you know, we want it to be an enterprise fund, but again, we're giving it a huge, you know, kickoff here. So, so I just wanted to kind of put that on the table. I don't have any other questions right now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Twanga?
Thank you, Mayor. I fortunately had the opportunity to spend some significant time with the accounting department regarding this entire process. And so the source of funds, et cetera, and the cash flow issues and that kind of thing I've looked at in detail. And I'm comfortable with that. A question that I have, just to make us aware of all of this again, is about the tree fund, for example. So I don't know if you want to step up, Craig, or not, but on the tree fund, how much is the charge to this entire process? What's the cost of this construction to the city, to the golf course?
So
Perhaps for tree mitigation.
Yeah, we've allocated, what, I think 267,000.
Correct.
And that's simply for planting trees only. So we're planting 333 2-inch caliper trees of many different cultivars.
So there's a charge to this entire construction for trees, correct?
Yeah.
So I think that's worth noted as it relates to the tree fund. That makes sense to me in understanding, because again, we own the club, we own the course, we own this fund, and this fund came through efforts of others up to this point in time. So it certainly does apply and makes some sense. And I really didn't discuss that from the accounting standpoint, but I think that's a good thing to bring up. So thank you for that. That it's sort of a little bit of a wash, sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, we'll be gaining more trees than removing, and some of the tree calcs that you see are including palms, exotic invasives, and so even if you just narrow it down to trees that we would otherwise protect and have a good condition rating, we're far exceeding that. But
So
if you factored in even the trees that are undesirable, we're planting more than what we're removing. So.
And that's a great point. So the cost is sort of a wash, but we end up on the positive side because we get trees that we're really looking for.
Correct, long term. Yes.
I just wanted to bring that out. I thought that's kind of important. Let's see. I think that's good for questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Craig. I don't have any questions on this either. Everybody's asked anything that I would want to know. So I'll have comments when it becomes that time. So I'm going to open it up to the public. Anybody wishing to come forward and speak to this item, please feel free to do so. Give us your name and address for the record. I was going to say, not one person.
Looking at me, so I guess I've talked to every one of these commissions. First of all, I want to thank everybody here that's involved with the project. I know we've kind of went down a serpentine road getting here, but I think where we've ended up is just awesome. In particular, the city team that worked on the project, Chris Spence, Lori Viola, Vince, Blair, everybody involved just did a marvelous job in the value engineering. Every time you heard the word value engineering, you kind of cringe a little bit, but this turned out really great because we have kept the critical, important components that will make this a true Donald Ross restoration. And with that, you'll see the kind of revenue increases that, quite frankly, I think less, maybe being a little too conservative, but we'll have some side bets on that. But one thing I want to reiterate, there are really three main reasons why this project's so important. Number one is the recreational component to the city, the citizens of Dunedin. I think this is going to be huge. This is going to open the door for us to do other things in the future, maybe do a state-of-the-art practice facility, a short course for our junior golfers, for our novice golfers. The second thing is the historic preservation aspect. We haven't really talked about that much, but that's one of the reasons why the state of Florida gave us a $500,000 historic preservation grant, because we really have something truly unique here. And we're not doing a renovation, we're doing a restoration. Like Chris talked about, we're uncovering the original Donald Ross course and we're bringing it back to life. And golfers all over the country are going to flock here to see this because it's going to be really something special. And third, the other aspect is the economic impact. And we really just looked at what's going to happen at the golf course. But what else is going to happen is you're going to have destination golfers coming from all over the country. And you're going to have millions and millions of dollars of local economic impact from more hotel rooms being rented. Our restaurants are going to be full. More merchandise is going to be sold in town. I can't quantify that. The National Golf Foundation says for every day a destination golfer comes to a location, they spend about $500 a day. We'll probably have in the neighborhood of about 5,000 destination golfers a year once we get up and running, so you do the math. And then also the property values. It's been demonstrated many times when you take a golf course and you upgrade it like this, the property values around the golf course are going up tremendously. Well, what does that mean? More property taxes. So I think there's a lot of ancillary benefits to this project that we haven't quantified, but at the end of the day, this is going to be an awesome project for the City of Dunedin. I'm very proud of everybody who's been involved with it, and I want to thank you, everybody here, for making this a reality, because it's really, truly something special. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? I guess you spoke for everybody then. Anybody else? All right, so what we're going to do is come back to the commission, and I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Torunga and Commissioner Gao. All right, Commissioner Torunga, final comments.
Value engineering, again, was just brought up, the concerns that we all have for that, and but it worked out here. It happened. It just happens to be something that happened. It's certainly something that we were aware of occurring. By occurring, I mean we were aware of costs going up, and we've lost projects here in Dunedin before because of what's occurred. And the timing for this is now, and that's really the main reason why I'm standing up and saying let's do this now. The timing is all there. The course needs it. The date happens to be not far away from a big anniversary for us. The course is ready to be acknowledged the way it should be, and I'm excited. I'm really excited about that. I think it makes a big, significant difference in our community here. What's the alternative? There really isn't any. So therefore, I'm going to support this. I understand, at least I understand how it happened. I am concerned about that for continuing projects, but I am very supportive of the Donald Ross course.
Thank you, Commissioner Torunga. And thank you for serving as our liaison. I didn't mention that earlier, but thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Gao?
I don't think I speak for myself when I say that we've all kind of been excited about this project from the very beginning. I think it's something that the city has needed and deserved. Certainly the economic impact, but the quality of life for the residents, and they are so deserving of this project. In the economic situation that we're currently in, we can't be surprised that costs are going to adjust and change. And so this meeting this morning was important. I think the quicker we get going on this, I don't think costs are ever going to reduce. So if we can lock in prices now, it certainly goes to benefit the long-range plan of the course. So I'm happy to have this meeting and happy to move it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Walker?
Thank you, Mayor. So, yeah, it really shouldn't be a surprise that there was a difference between the bid and the estimated cost. This is a volatile market, and the timing it is not as ideal as it could be, but I absolutely agree we need to do this now. The one thing I will say is that a majority of this is getting funded by ARPA, which again, I just want to reiterate, we have a deadline to encumber by December 31st, 2024. So the realization of that and the commitment that we've made to get this done makes this absolutely the right thing to do. I also want to recognize that we've already identified essentially, I'll call them incurred costs for lack of a better concept. And those incurred costs are basically, we've done the course design, that money's been expended, and we're on a track to do this. The other incurred cost, or at least future incurred cost, is the iteration of the fact that the irrigation system, regardless of what we do, needs to be completely done. So again, that's just another tick in the do it right now, it's the right time to do it. And I want to just emphasize something that Kevin said with regards to, I'm a firm believer that this is going to have a huge economic impact to our area, and I think this is going to be a wonderful resource for our community and our residents. And the last point is that I am concerned about because we did embark upon or committed to 4 capital improvement projects for next year, starting next year, or actually starting this year. And I am concerned about that. But I am also confident, as I went through this, and I went through it, I recognized, I checked your math, and you know what, the plan is sound. And I will also say that I don't have a, I've done value engineering before for major defense projects, and the process works. And the fact that first thing I did is I went to the high ticket volume, or the high ticket value one, and that was the irrigation system. You recognize roughly about a 37% reduction in the cost of those components. So for those reasons, I'm confident in where we are today. And anyway, I'm very much in favor of this, and greatly appreciate the discussion, and looking forward to making this happen.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you. I'm just going to put a little bit of different twist on it. It can be interesting to sit up here at times because, of course, I'm looking at people that want this to happen, right? And I want it to happen, and I'm going to vote for it to happen. But again, we have 4 total big capital projects, a lot of demands. We have 4 areas right now that just reflooded with water. I think it was Sunday night. And there's infrastructure issues there. Some things can be handled, some things can't, but we have a lot of demand. Some of this money could be used for that. Now we're finding other sources for that. But there's a lot of things that go into the heads up here to figure out how to balance our quality of life, but also our important infrastructure and the overall good of our citizens. So I do get inquiries like, why are we doing this? Why all of a sudden has this project with a golf course for city government, and why is it important, And so in my mind, and I'm going to go back to basics that we've talked about, and I recently said this to the person that asked me, look, when you look at what would we do? I mean, it's a golf course. Do we not make it a golf course? So let's make it all green space because we like our green space. But I know when, Vince Gizzi has put together what it would cost to maintain that green space, way unaffordable to maintain that green space, it would cost more money and we wouldn't have any revenue coming back. Would we want it to be developed? Nobody wants it to be developed. We need green space. Again, going back to some of our issues, even with drainage, green space is good for a lot of reasons. And it is literally the anchor for our biggest subdivision in Dunedin. So it's important that we make this decision right. And so you come back to an economic impact, Kevin, you said it, something that actually preserves green space, provides recreational activity, looks to our history, and we actually can have economic impact. We can actually make money and create an enterprise fund. So sometimes it's complicated, but it's important, I think, to talk through that because there's a lot of balancing competing interests in running the city and making sure we're thinking of all the best interests. And I'm speaking for everyone up here. I'm saying something we all know up here. So when I look at this, I think it's great. When Tracy McMullen took me out on a golf ride, I'm not a golfer, but it wasn't rocket science for me to see when she took me out on that golf course that it was in way disrepair and 3 holes that you can't even play, when it's rainy and soggy. If we're going to do it, that's not Dunedin's way, right? And it's not going to have the economic impact. And we are a city that preserves history. Like we look at our developers, we look at our homeowners, and we say, why are you going to tear that down and build something new? We want you to preserve it. So how can we be different? This is a critical historic asset for our city, and we should treasure it, preserve it, and at the same time, hey, it can make us money. So, and I always want to repeat what Commissioner Gauss said, because I heard it over and over again, do not price our citizens out of this golf course. So that is always going to be a key principle. And of course, I just looked at Judy Nichols nodding too, and there's a lot of good things that are happening, like the Christmas thing for kids that needed a place to turn that happened last night. So there's a lot of good things happening though. So I think I've kind of said all the things I need to say. I think it's a really important city asset. Absolutely, this is the time. It's now. It would not have jumped in front of these other projects otherwise, but this is the time. It's time for the golf course to be done. We're going to be proud of it. We're going to be in our historic outfits in 2027 and having a party to celebrate it for its 100 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer, I know you had some closing remarks or some thank yous you wanted to give.
I do, Mayor. Thank you very much. And I'm sensing some positivity in the room right now, so I'm looking forward to the vote eventually. And thank you for allowing me the floor. This project has been a very long time coming. And it certainly precedes most of us in this room, actually, from when the city first took ownership of the course and then the clubhouse itself to now. Many city commission liaisons to the board, many members of the board of directors. And so first of all, I want to thank the board of directors. They really hung in there. There were several very contentious meetings. And I know that as members of the clubs, they're the ones that took a lot of those hits, but stayed the course. Most of them. We have some new members, but stayed the course and really answered folks' questions as objectively as they could, met with the city on a regular basis. And some of those meetings were interesting, I think we'd all admit. But at the end of the day, the mission was the same for everyone, which is the restoration to the benefit of the public in the city of Dunedin, generally. I mean, not just the residents, but the business owners, the players, the tourism that we're going to realize, all of those sorts of things in this course. So Board of Directors, thank you so much. And luckily, you can go back and you have some very good news, I think, after this meeting for the club, if I'm reading the commission right at this point. The other part is staff. I mean, several of the projects that we work on take, some members of staff. This took a village. From the very beginning, it took a village. It really did, because the project is so complex. How is it that you eventually take over full operation of a golf club? And we didn't know, and so we hired an expert, and Blair Klein came on board. And he's done a fantastic job at the club, and his expertise has been invaluable to this process, to getting where we are today. He answers questions as objectively as he can. I know that he works very long hours, and he's been great working with staff as well. He came from the private sector. This is a public sector job, so I'm sure a lot of the times Blair was wondering what the heck was happening with this, but we got there, and we're coming up to speed. Blair worked with Lainey Sheets, and Lainey has been in this up to her elbows from the very beginning. She's done a fantastic job with an analysis, putting together the RFPs. We still have an RFP out there for the food and bev. I mean, it's ongoing. And Vince Gizzi, who has been putting together the agendas for the staff meetings and coordinating with the club, has spent limitless hours on this. And this is not even in his objectives. When he gets an evaluation, we had to bring the club in. So I would say it's a passion, for sure, for Vince. moving forward. To Craig Wilson, who has spent many, many hours on the course evaluating the trees. And this is, this is a tough one for him. We're a Tree City, USA, and this is a Donald Ross course. So there's sometimes those are in conflict, but we worked it out and we got there. And I'm very proud of his work on the course and the innovation that we've shown to bring the course to where it is today. Les Tyler with his finance plan. Les Tyler's plans are going to go down in history. Finance plans are going to go down in history for us. But really, for my part, it always comes down to Les and I sitting across each other on the table saying, can we do this? And if he says no, then I would recommend no. And so if it doesn't work, it's his fault. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding entirely. I'm kidding entirely. Jorge Quintas, who his overview.
It's Jorge's fault.
It's Jorge's fault. It's always the deputy city manager's fault, no matter what happens, right? Who again, with his engineering and his construction background, he actually kept us firmly planted on the ground, really, our feet on the ground in terms of how it is we work this moving forward. And I want to acknowledge the commission's concerns about timing, about weather, about budget, about supply chain. All of those things are concerning to us, and we're going to keep our finger on that pulse, along with the members of the club as well, to pull this project off and reopen the course by November 1st to the best of our ability, the very best of our ability. Bruce Worth, who our project engineering project manager, who's not allowed to retire, he keeps on trying, and we keep on saying no. So, and he as far as the drainage goes, on 15 and 17, he's been really active in that review, so I'm very grateful for his expertise as well. Chuck Ackney, who, going back and forth with the contractors, with the RFP, and we pushed Chuck a lot, and he pushed back some. So, a project like this is never, if everybody's saying, yes, let's go, and everything's great, then something's wrong. And so we really have been, we've had several conflicts, we've had several areas where we had some pretty deep discussion as staff and overcame all of that. And what you have before you is a contract and a change order that has been endorsed by our city attorney, Jennifer Cowan. And to that end, I want to thank Jennifer as well. As you get to the end of a project like this, it seems like time starts moving faster. And Jennifer had probably 7 or 8 minutes at some point after we finished the drafting the contract to review. I had her changes, and she did. I'm exaggerating, of course. She reviewed it thoroughly, just saying. Just having your attorney who is willing to look at it, not at the gray area of the contract, but to look at it very quickly to find out what it is we can do moving forward when we have a project that's over budget and only one bidder. And so that was a crucial element to this project. And I also want to acknowledge Teresa Smalling. She didn't have any part of this renovation itself, the restoration, but for all the personnel issues with the club and because if we didn't overcome those issues to bring this into the enterprise fund and the staff into the enterprise fund, then we wouldn't be sitting here today. So I think I've got everybody. I think I've got, oh yes, certainly our contractors, Chris Spence and Lori Viola. And Lori, I know you're really not feeling well today, so thank you. At least you're still sitting up, so that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, there's always, in my position, there's always that go, no-go date of a large-scale project that is so exciting. And I've been excited about this project from the get-go. We've all paced the floor at 3 a.m. plenty, I can tell you, because it's a project like no other. But we're here, and it looks like we're going to be working with TDI. I'm grateful for that and everything that you did to get us here today. So thank you very much, Mayor.
You're welcome. Again, a lot of my colleagues kind of talked about things that I would say, so I'll try not to be too repetitive, but, the course has been here for a very long time, as we know. It was certainly here when I was a kid. Dunedin High School golf team played there. Most of my friends shagged balls there. Another really good friend of mine's father was a chef there at one point. So we would always sneak in the side door to get food. So as a kid, I had a lot of history. I didn't play golf, but, just the connection. So when I look at this, and yes, the historical preservation piece of it, when I look at it, it's the history of our community. And, you know, I've always said it's not one thing that makes Dunedin special, it's all the things put together. You take one piece of it away, it's like taking a pillar of a building, the building crumbles. And all of it's kind of how when we talked about the Blue Jays. We didn't want to lose the Blue Jays. We wanted them to stay because they're one piece. They're one of the pillars that holds the building that is Dunedin together. Well, the golf course is equally as important for different reasons, but equally as important. And, you know, I think it was important for us to recognize that and commit to that because it is about our history. You know, we've had a lot of new people that have moved into our community in the last 5 years and may not understand that. But I think the people that have been here a long time do. And, you know, most of us are some of those people. So I'm proud to have been able to be, you know, a part of voting on this and encouraging it. I'm proud of the work our staff has done with the golf club. I'm proud of the board at the golf club and all the hard work that they've done. Certainly proud of both of you. I think it's important that, you know, this is the first step. We have the clubhouse and we have the restaurant, and I just reiterate this. I think everybody already knows it. I've said it before. But those two components, to me, top the project off, and we should not skimp in that. Because if we really want to get the big bang for the advertisement of this grand opening, we have to have a clubhouse that doesn't look like a nursing home, and we have to have a top-tier local restaurant. I say top tier, I'm not talking money-wise, but, you know, a branded restaurant that brings new people in. Not only to make the restaurant successful, but they get to see that beautiful view and the golf course. And there will be golfers. So there's all pieces to the puzzle, and I don't want to lose sight of that from a marketing perspective. I also agree with my colleagues a little bit that, you know, I'm worried about the future projects. I think we all know they're all going to go over. There's no doubt they're all going to go over. You know, I've tried to say I don't want to pit one project against another, but there will come a point if they all go over and we don't have any money, there will come a point that that's the case. And so I don't want to piecemeal this to the first thing that comes to us. You know, at some point, if we see that this is happening, I think we're going to have to prioritize, and I want the opportunity to do that. So I just throw that out there. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to do a roll call vote.
Yes, ma'am. Vice Mayor Freeney.
Aye.
Commissioner Walker.
Aye.
Commissioner Gao.
Aye.
Commissioner Tornga.
Aye.
Mayor Buszowski.
Aye, and that motion passes unanimously. Now, I know we have a couple other things, but I think we could use a little break and stretch our legs, so let's take a little 5-10 minute break, okay?
I'm
right.
sorry, Mayor, real quick. I just wanted to ask. You just approved the contract. You had the same presentation for the change order. Did you want to go ahead and handle the change order and then take a break?
Okay. So we're not, I mean, are there going to be a lot of questions for the change order?
I move the change order.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so we have Vice Mayor and Commissioner Walker. All right, we've already had the presentation,
Right.
okay?
Yes.
I do want to open it up to the public. Anybody wish to speak to the change order? Jennifer, do you have any remarks?
I don't, Mayor. Obviously, this is crucial, so I thank the city attorney that we do need to get this done before break. This is the change order that will essentially reduce the cost of $5.8 million from the original bid.
Okay,
So you've awarded the original bid, and now you're reducing that cost.
anybody have any questions or comments?
Yes, I had a comment scheduled.
Okay, so Commissioner Franny, do you have any comments?
No, I just wanted, again, I wanted to thank the people involved in doing the value engineering. Great job, again. You had to pick yourself up off the floor when the original bid came in, and I could not believe the job you guys did to really not do any damage, but bring in a much lower number, so thank you.
Commissioner Walker, anything?
No further comments.
Okay, Commissioner Gao?
Only to piggyback what the Vice Mayor said and to indicate that the only reason we're able to do that project is because of the effort that was put forth in the value engineering. So thank you all for your efforts.
Okay, Commissioner Twonga?
Yes, I certainly wanted to thank everybody that was involved in this value engineering, and because that's what ended up making this happen, or it would not have happened. But I also want to thank the club board that has really worked hard. I've been, as we all know, the liaison, but I'm looking at least 4 members out there right now that have played a very significant part and role in this activity. And the activity I'm talking about is making the club not only successful in the quantity and number of plays that are occurring on the course today, but in the constant support as we went through to arrive at this solution. Also want to point out the financials. The financials were very, very strong. They took very strong positions on this. They worked very hard. I watched it, and it was really a sight to see. So I really want to thank you guys for keeping the club as it is and bringing this to us at this point in time and allowing us to make this kind of a decision and to move forward. So thank you very much.
Did I cover everybody?
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. I don't think I have any further comments, so roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Gao,
Aye.
Commissioner Twonga,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Franny,
Aye.
Mayor Buszowski.
Aye, that motion passes unanimously. We'll take,
No, there we go. There we go.
I mean, if you want to go ahead and talk about the other thing, I need to get up and walk around.
Let's take it.
All right, so we'll go ahead and take a break and be back in 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. Oh, wow. We haven't seen ourselves on the monitor in a long time. But there we are. That's kind of cool. Ooh. Chris is back. Okay. Welcome back to our December 12th special meeting. We will move on to item number 3, which is, or 1C, which is the Dunedin Golf Club golf cart purchase. Blair?
Well, everybody, we're back here again. I'm still Blair Klein, the General Manager of Golf Operations,
You're
City of Dunedin.
Okay.
I'm really happy, and it's great to see all of you. So, along with our new golf course, we need golf carts, and we currently have golf carts. The club has a lease with Yamaha golf carts, and the city cannot assume that lease. So we are going to need golf carts upon reopening the club. And we put together an RFP for golf carts. We sent it out, and there's 3 major golf cart manufacturers, and 2 of them responded. And we have put together a evaluation committee of the bids. It was myself and Vince Gizzi and Les and John Falcone, the club pro at Dunedin Golf Club. And we went over the 2 bids. The bids were fairly involved because we asked for different terms of the bids, different types of batteries, and because of the delivery time of the carts, one company even quoted us 2024 pricing and 2025 pricing. So their responses each were about 70 pages long. So it was fairly involved, and what we came down to cut to the chase, is we came down to a recommendation of buying 72 golf carts from Club Car, and those are electric carts with flooded lead acid batteries, what you would call the typical battery, and 1 gas beverage cart. And this replaces the 72 Yamaha carts we currently have and the 1 gas Yamaha beverage cart we currently have. So we're not adding any additional carts. It's the same number of beverage carts. And the price of all that is $447,724. And we would have the carts delivered in October of 2024, with our anticipated opening of November 2024. And then we would keep the carts for 4 years, and then we would sell the carts. And the reason we want to do that is the leasing price is such that if we buy and sell, we net better. It costs us less to operate those carts. And we used a very conservative sale price of $2,000 a cart. We keep the carts in very good condition at Dunedin, but after 4 years, they'll have a few scrapes on the bodies. The battery warranty is 4 years. You really don't want to go past the battery warranty because a replacement set of batteries is currently around $1,000. So you don't want to spend that and put that in an older cart. You'd rather turn them over and offer Club Car a chance to buy them from you. And like I said, 2,000 is a very conservative estimate. I would expect in today's market 2,200 to 2,400. So 2,000 is conservative, and then our net cost of operating the carts would be lower than if we just paid on a lease and walked away from them after 4 years. Les has a financing plan worked out and that the golf fund can afford. And I would certainly entertain any questions you might have on the golf carts, the proposal, or how they're equipped, or why we made the decision we did.
Les, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, thanks, Blair. I just wanted to mention that Blair mentioned we had a net savings, and I want to mention that over that 4-year time frame, that net savings is about $46,000 in total. We think we'll save by buying versus leasing. Just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. Jennifer, anything from you? No? Okay. Chris, did you have anything you wanted to add to any of this? Okay. All right, we'll start with questions. Vice Mayor. It's you.
Sorry? I'm looking, sorry, I'm forgetting I'm vice mayor, sorry.
It does take a couple of months.
It just happens, so, okay. I'm like, come on, John, why aren't you talking? Anyway, no, and after all that, I actually have no questions. This is very, very clear to me, but thank you.
Commissioner Torga, any questions?
Yeah, just for the other audience that may be listening, would you state the price or the cost of each one of the vehicles? And then, of course, you already have stated what you felt you would get for them at the end.
Certainly I can.
You thought it was over.
I've got it. If we purchase, each cart costs us $8,347.
And you mentioned the battery. Would you just, that's my last question about that.
They come with batteries. They come with batteries and a battery charger, and these are equipped comparable to our carts, how they're now equipped as far as sand and seed bottles, windshield, sweater basket, things like that. It's very comparable, same equipment. And then the warranty on batteries, carts have they're like a car. They have different warranties for different parts, somewhere between 2 and 4 years. Depending on what the part is, the batteries are warranted for 4 years, and that's why you want to hang on to them for 4 years and not really after, because if we had to replace the batteries, it would be about $1,000 a cart.
And what kind of batteries are these?
These are Trojan T875 batteries, which is a top line battery.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted everybody to hear that, just so
Sure.
they see the cost and what we're going to bring, the residual value.
Okay. Commissioner Gall, any questions?
I do, Mayor. Just a few. Just real quickly, Blair, could you run through the decision-making process with the utility cart and why we chose gas over electric?
Certainly. The beverage cart is run a considerable amount of time from, say, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning on tournament days, normal day about 9 to 10 in the morning, till about 5 in the afternoon. It carries a lot of weight. It would have the same number of batteries and the same batteries as a golf cart if it were electric. And you're carrying cases and cases of beer, Gatorade, sodas. You're actually driving way more than a cart would probably drive in 36 holes of golf as you go over the entire golf course many, many times. Playing golf, I would expect to see the bev cart person 3 times minimum in a round. Certainly as a course operator, I would want them to see all the golfers 3 times minimum. That'd be 3 chances to sell things. So the combination of the weight and the miles traveled, it makes more sense for gas than electric, because as that cart would go dead for lack of charge, you would have a tough time getting it in with all that weight on it, and you need to be out there selling product. Golf carts get typically somewhere between 30 and 50 miles to the gallon, so it'll run a long time on a tank of gas, and you're not going to be left stranded and not taking care of customers.
And you mentioned the life on these is, we want 4 years out of them.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that the same for the beverage cart as it is for the regular golf cart?
Yes, sir.
So we have another bite at this apple in 4 years then, to go electric, which is what I would push for.
On the beverage cart, for the reasons I mentioned, the resale on gas is much better. And you'll find most, certainly not all, but most, if you went around to the other local golf courses, I would, just from my experience, say 90% will be gas beverage carts.
And I would propose that we're different from all those other courses. I mean that in a positive manner. What is the difference between the price and the electric? Was that a factor, or?
For the beverage cart?
The beverage cart, yes, sir.
No, sir. The RFP stated a gas beverage cart. We did not get a bid for an electric beverage cart.
Okay. And I know that we've had issues in the past on the Yamahas with GPS. Is that an add-on? Could that come later, or does that come with the cart when you purchase it? Has the GPS technology improved? Has the city of Dunedin improved? I don't know what the issue really was. I just know there was always an issue.
Those are all excellent points. And one thing I neglected to mention, and that was my error, we bid these carts without GPS systems. And the companies added a bid for their own GPS systems, which is what we currently have Yamaha's GPS system on our Yamaha carts. And Club Car has their own GPS system also. But we are recommending buying these carts without GPS systems and adding an aftermarket GPS system to the cart. One, they perform better. And two, GPS systems on golf carts are not nearly as sophisticated as the GPS system on your car for travel. It seems like they'd be identical, but it's way different. And some of the technology is catching up faster than the manufacturers are catching up. And with also a tremendous savings in providing that technology. So we are recommending buying without GPS and potentially adding GPS at a later date from a aftermarket manufacturer that was actually suggested to me by one of the companies that bid on the RFP. Because yes, we have had tremendous problems with our GPS system.
Very good, and thank you for that, because yeah, it did at the same time seem to be something everybody wanted, and it also seemed to be beneficial for the club for those carts to have GPS. So
Yes,
if
sir.
we can find an opportunity to add them, that would be great. And that is all the questions that I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Commissioner Walker?
Thank you, Mayor. So the question I did have is the difference between the cost of a lease and the cost of a purchase. And you had indicated roughly about a $46,000 savings between the lease and the purchase. With regards to that, the one thing that I was a little concerned about was leasing typically implies that the maintenance gets done by the leasing company. And you had indicated we have expertise in-house essentially to do the maintenance on the vehicles that we would purchase. Is that correct?
As far as, I think I can answer your question in two parts. As far as the normal maintenance, like hosing them off, cleaning them off, things like that, putting air in the tires, we do that currently. As far as anything covered under warranty, that would still be covered by the manufacturer's service department.
And that's typically 4 years?
Yes, depending, 2, 3, or 4 years, depending on what the part is the warranty. Different parts have different warranties, but they would still do the work on the cart.
Okay. Oh, yeah, right. That makes sense. And then in terms of when you take the cart offline, does the company come out and do the maintenance on site, or do you have to take the carts to the company?
It's done on site, sir.
Okay, fantastic. And just clarification, in part, that cost savings is realized by the aftermarket, or the resale of the vehicles. And conservatively, we estimated each of those would cost about $2,000, maybe $2,400. Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay, no, sounds good.
We came across that. I've talked to some former cart salesmen of mine in Texas and in Alabama and found out what they were selling, the carts that they took back into their dealers currently. And also there are large wholesalers of carts, and we called them and found out what they were selling to dealers. So we know what we would, the first offer would be back to Club Car and say, we're coming out of this, do you want to buy our carts? You know how we maintain them. We're not really interested in, putting an ad in the paper. We want to turn them over in total to somebody. And the first call would be to Club Car, and I'm very comfortable with those numbers. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, fantastic, thank you.
Drum roll, I have a question. It's not an important one. I came up with it trying to think of what I might be able to ask. What color carts are you getting?
The RFP specified white. Actually, all companies have what they call their standard color palette, and there's maybe 4 or 5 colors in it, and then you upgrade from there. So this would apply to any color in their standard palette, so they don't have to be white. The darker color you get, it's just like a car, the more it shows dirt. But, so it could be white, it could be beige, could be maybe silver. I think navy and black and burgundy might be upgrades, but a fairly neutral color. And then there's usually a white, beige, gray, or black seat color. So we can have fun with it a little bit.
Might be a nice branding opportunity. Can we paint oranges on them?
You have to have a tartan.
I'm just
What I was
teasing.
thinking.
I am so teasing. Okay.
That's kind of good.
Like a decal. Like a decal, it doesn't have to be painted, it could be a decal, but it could be a really cool,
We could put an orange.
On my golf cart in the front.
Yeah, they'll steam it off.
Yeah.
Commented on all of that.
I just think it might be a nice little branding opportunity for us.
Well,
About
we need
racing
a color.
stripes?
We need a color that goes.
No, because people go fast, you don't want them to do that. I'm just teasing. Anyway, there's just a little opportunity there. Okay, anybody from the public that wishes to speak to this item? I only see one person from the public, and he's not saying yes, so. All right. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Third.
Okay, wait a minute. Who was the
Who
maker?
was the
I
motion?
think it was Rob, then Jeff.
Okay,
I'll defer to Mo.
no.
It's okay.
Okay, any final comments, Rob?
No, we need golf carts.
Yeah. Commissioner Gao, anything final?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I do like the branding idea, though. Branding would be kind of neat.
Yeah, tartans would be wonderful.
There you go. All kinds of.
We'll have to
Should
wait
we
for the
form a
type of
committee?
carton, though.
Stop it. I'm teasing you. Commissioner Tornga?
No, thank you.
Okay. I have no further comments either. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Tonga,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Franey,
Aye.
Commissioner Gao,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker,
All right,
Mayor Boszowski.
Aye, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. Been a good morning. There's opportunity for informational items, so I'm just going to look at anybody to see if they have them. You have any informational things you want to share since we're not meeting for the rest of the year?
Just share information.
Just share information.
Well, the only thing that comes to mind is that yesterday, the mayor of Largo, Woody, can't think of his last name. What's Woody's last
Brown.
name?
Brown.
Thank you, sorry. I knew it was something complicated.
I couldn't think of
Anyway,
it either.
he's the new chair of Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. I'm the new vice chair. And Commissioner
Congratulations.
Flowers at the county
Yay.
level is new secretary treasurer.
You're just vice
And,
everywhere.
yeah, and it was a great kickoff meeting. I think it's going to be a great year. Obviously, they're They're into the resiliency, sustainability, done some kind of staff changes a little bit, and some great people, so I think it's going to be a good year. So that's all that comes to mind, but I will also add, our Rec and Parks people rock it again, because, Saturday. There he is, so he doesn't want to miss that. I mean, Jory Peterson, of course, who's our special events person, was showing me some comments that she got texted, just kind of separately, but from residents who just were like, again, over the top with how we do all the details, we check everything. Our Rec and Parks director even ice skates, to show how good you can ice skate in Florida. But I mean, I went to the breakfast this morning, as did many of you guys.
What was that? I
It was
didn't even know what it was.
Dunedin Fine Arts Center does an appreciation for our staff for all that they do.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I couldn't tell what the acronym meant, and I know that's silly, because now that you've said it, it's City
Yeah,
of
it
Dunedin.
makes sense. But
I was like, what's COD?
But I guess my point is, what I said to just about every one of them was that they make us look good, But of course, I did say we were capable of making ourselves look bad, so we needed them to make us look. But I mean, we do. Our staff's the backbone, and Vince, please pass that on. Not just your staff was there, but multiple levels of staff in Public Works and Facilities. But, Parks and Recs works their butt off during this season and always rocks it. Always rocks it. Thank you. That's all.
Okay. Commissioner, any information
Well, I
to
suppose
share?
I should say something that relates to the holiday season. So from all of us, I guess I'll just say Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and happy whatever floats your boat, and Happy New Year. Peace.
Okay. Commissioner?
Informational items, there is a wonderful chorus concert today that's hosted by Garrison Jones Elementary, followed by a concert at the middle school, followed by tomorrow night a concert at the middle school.
Oh, my God.
And so there's just a whole lot going on in our schools. There's great things going on. Please discover our Dunedin schools. I echo Commissioner Franey's comments. I think the best thing about our events that are put on by staff events, it can't be minimized, the smile on the staff's face as it reflects from the resident point of view. I think the joy and happiness in which they put on these events, even though they're working hard, is part of the event. And they do everything they do with a smile on their face, and that is just amazing. But other than that, Feliz Navidad to add on. So, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Walker?
Thank you. Yeah, so I'd already thought about this, so I'm going to pile on to the Love Fest with Parks and Recreation. I talked to a lot of them out there. They are the face of Dunedin, truly, when it comes to these events. And I just, the enthusiasm and the excitement that they generate is just contagious. And, I think it's wonderful. I do have an update with Dunedin Cares. We have locked in a save the date for the first ever Dunedin Cares Gala. That will be March 3rd. It will be a fundraiser. We are going to be doing it here at City Hall. And there will be more to follow, obviously. I also want to thank everybody that participated, my colleagues, and a whole host of others that did the teacup fundraising that was hosted by my neighbor Sari, and I think she raised over $1,000, which was
That's awesome.
was great. This is the season of giving, and we're no shortage of giving here. So anyway, I think that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. I too want to say kudos on the parade. I have gotten message after Facebook tag, after seeing Facebook posts saying that this was definitely the best year ever, which I think is cool. And it was either you, Vince, or you, Jennifer, that took the picture. Nobody sent it to us. We want to see it.
I think Jocelyn took it.
Well, somebody needs to send it to
Well,
us. Can
yeah.
you, somebody get it for us? Because I'd actually like to post it.
Ms. Jocelyn.
So thank you for all the hard work. I know my son Thomas worked the ice slide, and he got to see his cousins and help his cousins get down, so that was a pretty special moment for him. Moving on from the parade, I know you probably cannot see this picture, but I'm going to show it, so you see that picture? Looks like a castle, right? See that? Yeah. Looks like a castle. Jim and Jean Davis are in Vienna. That is their city hall. So I don't think anybody should call this a Taj Mahal anymore. Just saying.
I don't think anyone wants to compare us to that.
I know, my God, look at that, it's beautiful. And then finally, we all got the Florida League of Cities legislative update yesterday, which includes, actually not finally, but which includes some concerning legislation on short-term rentals as well as the business preemption thing that they did last year. And they're trying to adjust some things, especially for short-term rentals. We are on their list of being people that the stuff they're doing might affect us. So the first committee meets tomorrow. So I'm hoping that maybe Nicole or whatever can get something out to them. You know, a quick letter of response. And to monitor these two bills. And what was the finally? Jennifer and I met with the City of Clearwater, Forward Pinellas, and PSTA yesterday regarding the ferry. So we're moving in the direction of wanting to do a single contract through PSTA with them managing the ferry. At least that's what we all agreed to yesterday. They have, I think I told you, gotten awarded that 3-year service grant from FDOT. So PSTA is working on a RFP required by FDOT. And Forward Pinellas is working with the Tourist Development Council and the Visit St. Pete Clearwater about their portion of the funding to match that grant, that annual grant for the next 3 years. So likely what will come back is, you know, a 3-way agreement between Dunedin, Clearwater, and Visit on behalf of the county to match that annual grant to run the service. Those are all the details. That's what we're pursuing. Whether it all works out perfectly like that, I don't know. But that is the goal that we're all trying to achieve, and we're trying to achieve it for an October 1st of 24 start date. So we're moving along, just keeping you posted. None of these things have been approved by councils anywhere, so, you know, it's all up in the air. But I thought it was good next steps, right? And we're going to meet again in January, mid-January, and kind of see where we are. And then finally, we won't be meeting again before the holidays. So obviously, from our family to yours and whoever's watching, we wish you a great holiday season, a wonderful new year. We won't be back here until the second week of January, right? Because, you know, New Year's kind of falls right in the middle of that week, that first week. But that doesn't mean the city isn't busy. And then this Saturday, we have the Wreaths Across America at the cemetery. I'm sorry, I don't know what time that starts.
Noon?
Noon? Okay, good.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
At noon.
And you're going to say the golf cart parade as well?
Yeah, and the golf cart parade, the North Dunedin Golf Cart Parade's Friday night, and the South Dunedin Parade is on Saturday night, and you can go on Dunedin Goes Karting
Calendar
to
says
get...
12.
Huh?
The calendar says 12 for Wreaths Across
Yeah,
America.
I was going to say it's not
Yeah.
10, it's 10, that's 12.
12. 12.
Thank you, Jesus, because as everybody knows, I'm not a morning person, especially if it's going to be cold. Yeah, so we encourage everybody to come out for the laying of the wreaths because we need all the volunteers we can get to go find those headstones. It's something that Karen Mariscal has started with the city of Dunedin, and we appreciate all her efforts, and thank you to my commissioner colleagues who have, sponsored a wreath. We don't have a wreath across America in my family's hometown of North Carolina, so I wish I could get a wreath placed on my dad's grave, but that's not possible, so I'm really happy that we can do that for the folks here, because I think it makes a difference, especially if the family doesn't live here and can't be here to celebrate the holidays. So happy holidays to everybody. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Cool.